Tampa Bay, there's reason to think he will. Then, Todd Gurley out of LA. What is his next move? And how did the Rams go from first to worst quite this fast? Plus, one of our guys says Derrick Henry shouldn't even think of signing his franchise tag. Could that be the holdout that changes the NFL season? You've got all of those questions. We've got all of the answers as we get up with you, starting right now. I'm Greeny. I'm in Bristol again today and delighted you've chosen to get up with us. There's a lot of football news out there, and we have it for you. Orlovsky and Marcus Spears are ready to go, but Shefty will be up first because Tom Brady's deal with the Bucs still not official. It should be that much closer to completion after the quarterback underwent a physical with a mutually agreed upon doctor in New York City yesterday. The coronavirus has prevented Brady and, of course, other free agents from meeting with teams in person and taking physicals with team physicians. So that's one part of the story. Here's another really interesting one. Deion Sanders tweeted the following, and Julian Edelman liked the tweet from Primetime, and you can see it there, suggesting that Julian Edelman should join his former quarterback and best friend in Tampa. I'll read it with you. If Tom Brady goes to the Buccaneers, can Julian Edelman go too? That's like Jordan without Scottie Pippen, peanut butter without the jelly, and iced tea without sugar. So those are the thoughts of Deion Sanders, and I will mention that Julian Edelman himself liked the tweet, and that's sort of what we have as the currency of conversation these days. There's Adam Schefter, our insider extraordinaire. I'll get to that tweet in a second, but first off, Shefty, what is the latest on Brady and this deal finally being final?
Greeny, it's on track to being done. I'd be surprised if we didn't get some sort of announcement today from Tom Brady himself on his social media pages about becoming a Buccaneer. It's taken all week long to get to this point. We're living in a different time. There are different obstacles that every player and every team must go through before a contract is finalized. It is no different for the great Tom Brady, but he's gone through the physical. I believe the numbers have basically been all but ironed out. So whatever they're doing, whatever remains, it may just be that Tom Brady wants to announce this deal when he's ready, the way he wants to do it, and then we will have the official proclamation that TB is going to be in TB this year, Tom Brady in Tampa Bay with the Buccaneers.
I like it. And look, he has gotten very fond of posting things on social media, so we can keep a close eye on that. Now let me go back to the other idea. Julian Edelman liked the idea of joining Tom Brady in Tampa. So the question is, if they wanted to make that happen, how would that happen, Shefty? Does that feel like a real possibility?
Well, first of all, let's not confuse likes on Twitter pages for journalism in 2020. That's number one. Number two, if you want to go that way, the Patriots would have to decide, okay, we are tearing this down and we are rebuilding and we're going to go trade away a guy in Julian Edelman in the last year of his contract with a base salary of just over $3 million. So if the Patriots wanted to get compensation back, sure, they could try to do that. There haven't been any hints or ideas or suggestions that that's going to happen. And of course, Julian Edelman, I'm sure, would like to join his friend in Tampa Bay. Who wouldn't? Warm weather, no state income tax. Tom Brady's there. It's exactly why players have been reaching out to the Buccaneers over the last 48 to 72 hours since the news broke that they too would like to be in Tampa Bay. I'd like to be in Tampa Bay with Tom Brady at this point in time. I'm quarantined in my house. What do you want me to do at this point in time? That's the way it sort of goes. And so we have a situation here where we can continue to look at players who want to go there. I just don't know how realistic it is. Maybe it's something as simple, Greeny, as Julian Edelman liked the compliment that Deion Sanders was paying him, comparing him to Scottie Pippen and talking about how important he's been to a franchise dynasty through the years.
I'm with you, but it's sort of fun to consider it the other way. Let's talk about one that probably could happen a lot more easily. Well, I guess I shouldn't say that because there are different kinds of hurdles to jump. That is, of course, Antonio Brown. We know how much those two seem to like being together for the incredibly short period of time they were, meaning Tom Brady and Antonio Brown. What would have to happen for Brown to be able to play in Tampa this year?
Well, the biggest thing is that the NFL still has not concluded its investigation of Antonio Brown. And frankly, the NFL has much bigger matters right now to worry about than Antonio Brown and how long he's going to miss. And I think there still will be discipline handed down to Antonio Brown, and it may be a while before he's playing. But I think teams have known that Tom Brady would like Antonio Brown to go where he is next season. Now, whether the Buccaneers would want to do that is another question. I think Tom Brady has that in his mind, that he'd like to play with Antonio Brown. Loved having him as a teammate, was disappointed when New England parted ways with him this past season. It always will remain out there, But I think the biggest issue facing Antonio Brown is the discipline that awaits him from the NFL. The NFL is not through with him, not by a long stretch of the imagination, and he still could be facing a potential suspension, a lengthy suspension from the NFL before he's even allowed to play again this season.
All right, Shefty, terrific. Stay with me a minute here. I'm coming back to you on something else in a second, but let me get Dan and Swagoo into the conversation after we talk about the Rams, who yesterday released running back Todd Gurley, bringing an end to a dramatic fall in L.A. for the 2017 NFL Offensive Player of the Year. The Rams had made Gurley the highest paid running back in NFL history with a 4-year extension prior to the 2018 season. We will get to all of that in a minute as we sort of fly by the seat of our pants here a little bit. I've got Dan and Marcus ready, and we did want to get commentary from you two guys on the notion of Julian Edelman. And Dan, in our meeting this morning, which we conducted telephonically, you were telling us that there is not only does Brady obviously love having Edelman to throw to, but there'd be another benefit of having him in Tampa with all his new teammates.
Become a coach on the field for every other wide receiver, and that communication that he can give those other receivers, you can't put value on that, Greeny. You can't put value on Edelman walking up to a Mike Evans and going, hey, when you run this route, I know Tom likes when you do this. When you have a go route, I know Tom loved when receivers did this. And it's even more paramount in this offseason, right? Because all the uniqueness tied to this offseason and the time that guys are going to be able to spend with each other, to bring in a guy like Julian Edelman that knows Tom Brady and Tom Brady knows him, you are bringing such an asset into your organization for not just the quarterback, but for everybody else. You get basically an extension of Tom Brady at the wide receiver position. So for Jason Light in Tampa Bay, this would be a no-brainer because you're committed to now, right? Like you've gone all in for right now. If you can get Edelman for a mid-round pick, and I'm not a front office guy, I don't know what, but if you can do that, that would be an absolute no-brainer and would completely improve your football team.
To Shefty's point, that would probably require the Patriots to decide they're just tearing the whole thing down, and we don't have any sense they're going to do that. Swagoo, as far as either getting someone like Edelman or Antonio Brown, do you feel like they need that? They've got obviously two top-flight wide receivers who were very productive when Jameis was there last year. Do you think they need another weapon?
Well, I know it's against the grain to say that you don't want to add talent, and obviously adding both of those guys would bring some sort of value, especially if Tom Brady is pushing for one or the other one of those guys to come. I don't, though, G. I think going to Tampa right now with what they have on the table, with who's there, with Godwin and obviously Mike Evans and both of those tight ends, I think they can have a lot of success with where they are. But to Dan's point, and I agree with him, the uniqueness of this offseason may create something where you want to have a guy in the building that already has rapport with Tom Brady to have at least something going as this season gets off to a start. But I just, look, Tom Brady picked Tampa Bay because what was already there. I don't know if you add anything and possibly mess up that chemistry.
That seems right. All right, let me get back to what we were talking about a moment ago. And I told you Todd Gurley was released yesterday. This is a guy who was recently as 2 years ago felt like a legit candidate for MVP. Instead, there's been a significant fall off. And you see on Twitter, he reacted to the news with sort of an amusing way, tweeting, "Damn, I got fired on my day off." And so let me go back to Shefty here. Adam Schefter, what does the future look like now for Todd Gurley, who remarkably is still only 25 years old? What is the next move for him?
Well, Greeny, let me say this. The Los Angeles Rams had spent the last few weeks shopping Todd Gurley around the league, and there was not a lot of interest in him. Teams did not want to take on that contract with his injury history at this point in time. But there were two teams that were particularly interested in Todd Gurley during that process. The first was the Atlanta Falcons. And that makes sense. When you look at where Todd Gurley played college football, Georgia. When you look at what the Falcons have done this offseason, they got rid of Devonta Freeman. And so the Falcons would be one team that makes some sense for Todd Gurley as he becomes a free agent. Now, the other team that was interested in Todd Gurley, the Miami Dolphins, who back in the 2015 draft were planning to take him with the 14th overall pick before the Rams took him 4 slots ahead of them at number 10. Dolphins wound up taking Devontae Parker. Gurley went to the Rams, and Gurley is now a free agent. Miami would be a potential landing spot. And I also would say Tampa Bay might wind up taking a look as well. That would not be a shock as well. And you'll start to see the gravitational force, the gravitational pull of Tom Brady. The Rams already are paying Gurley about $5.5 million for the upcoming season. Maybe he's willing to take a little bit less to go play in Tampa. Again, no state income tax, warm weather, Tom Brady, the trifecta. So those are the teams I think that could wind up taking a look at Todd Gurley.
All right, so well done. Shefty, so good to see you. Thank you so much, my man, and we will check in with you as we go. Let me get the guys in for quick thoughts on that as well. And Marcus, I'll start with you. Do you feel there's a cautionary tale here? The Rams redid Gurley's deal at a time when they didn't have to, and now here they are in all kinds of salary cap trouble and more. What do you think is the sort of the big picture lesson that we get from this Todd Gurley situation?
Gee, this will not bode well for running backs. Obviously, this is one of those other scenarios that front offices can use to tell running backs and their agents, see, this is why we don't do this. I think it's a unique case, though. Todd Gurley was more than just a running back for the Rams, and he was paid and compensated that way. I think people have to keep in mind, Todd Gurley was not just to hand the ball off in the backfield and you go do your thing. He was in the passing game, highly involved in a lot of ways offensively, and I think that's where the contract came from. So for all you running backs out there, if you want to see a contract like this, you better be more than a guy that just turns around and hands the ball off. I guarantee you Saquon Barkley will get a big deal and Christian McCaffrey will get a big deal because they are more than a running back.
Dan, what do you think? Who should go out? Should Gurley, is he going to be a difference maker somewhere? Should some team be out there trying to sign him desperately?
Oh, absolutely, Greeny. Now, he's not going to be your number one. He's not going to be your bell cow, but this guy's 2 years removed from 1,200 yards and 17 touchdowns. And even last year, Greeny, 850 yards and 12 touchdowns. So if you're a team like, look at the NFC North. The Packers, the Bears, the Lions, all of them should be interested in Todd Gurley, especially with the Packers and his familiarity to that system. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, like Shefty said, the Seattle Seahawks, he can still come in and give you value, not only in your run game, but to Marcus's point, your pass game. And Greeny, I've been with Todd Gurley in the locker room as a teammate. He's an outstanding teammate in the locker room, so he will bring value to an organization quickly.
All right, there continues to be huge news from around the National Football League, and there will be more. Guys, stay with me. They're with me all morning long as we're just getting started on Get Up. As we continue, more from social media. Be careful what you like. Joe Burrow liked a tweet that got people talking from Cincinnati to Miami. Is something afoot? We'll get to it. And then, even if the Bucs don't add Julian Edelman, Tom Brady has weapons on his offense. We'll tell you why he will use all of them well as we get up with you on ESPN.